Aloha mai kako. I'm Uncle Ricky and I want to welcome you back to Na Pua Pasifika. We're examining the sustainable canoe plants that were carried on the Va'a by the Polynesians across the vast Pacific to Hawaii. In our first episode, we focused on ulu, or breadfruit, which is perhaps the most consumed of all the carbohydrate starches that formed the backbone of the sustainable lives of the islanders. Today, we're going to talk about uhi. This is uhi, and this on a scale of 1 to 10 size-wise is a 1. This plant gets very big. It grows at the base of a vine, like the sweet potato does, but it's impossible to talk about sustainability in Hawaii without discussing uhi because it grows so well, has a decently long shelf life, and the best part is it's so delicious. In today's episode, I'm going to introduce to you Leslie Sakona, who is one of, if not the largest uhi grower in the state of Hawaii, and a man who I am grateful to continually learn from, and even more grateful to call my friend.
I'm Leslie Sakona. I came from Tonga, and I'm growing uhi in Pig Island. I am from Tonga Tapu. I live in Tonga 19 years before I come Hawaii. My dad is a fisherman. My mom is a home, just work at home. I have 7 brothers and 1 sister. In Tonga, this is a favorite food, the ufi. They like ufi more than anything. They cook with coconut milk, boil it, they put in a imu, they barbecue it.
And your favorite way is?
Anyone.
Today's episode takes us down to Leslie's farm in Honoka'a on the edge of Hawaii Island, where Leslie grows and distributes a huge quantity of uhi, not only to the local community, but to the neighboring islands as well.
I sell it to Kauai, Maui, Oahu, and here, Pig Island.
I am a small backyard grower, and Leslie is a professional farmer and grows more uhi than anybody I've ever met in my entire life.
I start keep going every year more.
And part of the reason that this series is being created is because the state of Hawaii imports 90 to 95% of the food that the people eat here. And the biggest single import that they have is rice. And these are the foods that replace rice. Ulu, kalo, uala, tapioca, uhi. These are the foods that will provide security for the people on these islands because they want to grow here.
Before our hui could start cooking the uhi, Leslie was kind enough to give Uncle Ricky and the crew a closer look at what it actually takes to run a full-scale uhi farm. Lucky for Uncle Ricky, he was able to get his hands dirty and help contribute to the day's hana.
This is a starter. We need to recloth this. This is the one we recloth. This. This guy needs to take and grow like 2, 3 feet, 4 feet, if a good year. This one. But we saved a small one to grow it. See, this is how we grow this. We cut this half. And we dip in a cement. See the cement? We dip it in the cement.
Why do you do that? I've never seen anybody do that.
Because it's wet there, the cement make it dry so fast. And stop the
Sap.
Yeah, the one that if you don't do it, they get old fast. This one they stop. The cement is pretty good for this.
This is why I like hanging around guys like this, because I'm always learning stuff. These are all the yams. All the pieces that he's already cut. He put the cement on, ready to plant. And he keeps the dirt on it so that the bugs don't eat it. All these little simple things that add to the ability for plants to grow better are the traditional knowledges that are being forgotten. But Leslie lived it his whole life. And that's why it's so wonderful that we're going to have a chance to capture this knowledge that is being forgotten. I want to acknowledge just how hard Leslie and his family worked to maintain an uhi farm of this size. He is in some ways the guardian saint of uhi, and it's frightening to think who will be able to fill his shoes when he stops planting it. The only way to truly appreciate what people like Leslie and other farmers do for us is to go to their lands and spend time on their aina and learn how much effort goes into providing food for our community. Like me, Leslie is an older man, and although uhi was originally planted with an o'o, or a long, pointed, spear-like piece of wood, in today's world, he takes advantage of modern farming equipment, which enables him to grow uhi to supply the needs of the Pacific Islanders throughout the state who clamor to be able to buy it. So this is how deep the hole he's digging, the trench, as he's taking the dirt to bury the yams that he's planting, and then this will be the next row that he's going to plant, and then he'll move over there and take it, and that's what he's done. And if you look down this whole thing and you see all these mounds, all the mounds are yams, and all the valleys are the pathways that you walk in between them.
It's hard than farming. It's a lot of work. You need to clean the wheat all the time. Make sure you have water. This is it's different from the other one. You have to take care of the uhi good.
In Ponape, where I learned about these plants, this plant was known as kep, and it was the most revered of all the plants that they grew. It wasn't the plant that they ate the most. The plant that they ate the most was breadfruit. But this was the plant that defined you as a man. How well you grew this plant was your status in Ponape. Not how much dough you had in the bank like in America, but how good your yams were. Something real.
Everybody, they make like a group, like town. They make uhi to see who is the biggest one. Yeah, they grow the uhi and they grow like who is the best. The biggest one or more grow, more nicer grow. And they get a reward for that.
What kind of reward?
Money.
This is going to be something that anybody can use as a resource to learn how to plant foods that will feed their families. Good thing.
After Leslie, Uncle Ricky and the team finished planting what would be next year's yield, as well as digging up this round's harvest, they packed it up and called it a day. Uncle Ricky and the team returned a few weeks later to help participate in an imu on Leslie's farm. It was all hands on deck as they prepared to cook uhi, different varieties of meat, and lupalo, all while utilizing a large assortment of fresh and natural ingredients that would make for a festive and delicious meal that everyone could enjoy.
And so today, Leslie is he's made an imu, and he's made a modern imu. In other words, he took a 55-gallon drum and cut 1/3 off the bottom of it, buried the 55-gallon drum in the ground so it was equal, the top of the drum was the top of the ground. And the reason that he did this, with a 55-gallon drum imu, you don't need a lot of wood, you don't need a lot of rocks, and you don't need a lot of banana leaves or tea leaves because it's very self-contained. In that imu, he's going to cook uhi, and the style of cooking in an imu is called kalua. So he's going to make uhi, kalua, and he's also cooking lupalo. And lupalo is taro leaves, coconut milk, onions, and we've made it 3 ways. One with corned beef hash, one with fresh lamb, and one with lamb and corned beef hash.
In typical Hawaiian fashion, the imu on Leslie's farm was a scene of camaraderie, hard work, efficiency, and aloha. From harvesting the fresh uhi in the ground close by, to prepping the leaves and lupalo for cooking, a multitude of ingredients were used to create a wide variety of dishes. Many hands and natural elements came together to form delectable outcomes. A tale as old as time as the keiki laughed and played nearby and kupuna talked story while working away. Recipes were shared, samples were tasted, and quality time was spent by all.
Not that good.
Eventually, when the time was right, the imu was carefully uncovered and the items inside were sorted accordingly. Among other things, Uncle Ricky was delighted to show us how some of the uhi turned out.
the finished product. So this is the repast. Ufi cooked in coconut milk. Ufi is the Tongan name. The Hawaiian name is uhi. And then we have scraped coconut, just shredded coconut. And this is my Ponapean dipping sauce. My style would be to take this and burn my fingers, put it in that, and put it in this. And there it is. Ufi and coconut milk with shredded coconut and lime chili pepper salt dipping sauce. This is like the bomb. Come on, give me one bite. Cook good?
Yeah. This is the best one, the coconut corned beef and yam.
The way you cooked it, I love it because it's soft.
It cooks real good.
Yeah.
This is my favorite.
Now I'm gonna cook my yam like that, my
Smaller.
like that.
Yeah.
This cat take a look.
See, of all the things to make Uncle Ricky happy is seeing Tongan people eat the food I cook and enjoying it. No. Did you try this? Put that in this, try it. Good, huh?
Yeah, I love the sauce.
Chili pepper, lime, and salt. That's it. And if you're at the ocean, you can just use the ocean water and lime and chili pepper.
So good.
Don't even need the salt. Good, huh?
Tastes good. So good.
My goal for today was to get this guy in front of this camera and to show people how this man knows how to grow this food plant that is one of the most important food plants in all of Polynesia. Actually, probably in all of Polynesia, this is the most respected of all the food plants, even more than breadfruit, is uhi, or kep as they call it in Ponape, or uti as they call it in Fiji, and ufi as they call it in, ufi is Tongan,
Yeah.
and uti in Tahiti. They're all these cultures grew these plants.
And the Filipino is
And the Filipino one that we just pulled out is called ube. Ube. And Leslie has taken it upon himself to be the man who maintains this tradition. He is the, I don't know what you would call him, he's the guardian of uhi. And without him, this plant would disappear. And I'm hoping that when this series gets aired, people will see this and realize that they can grow these foods and feed themselves. And that's what I hope we're accomplishing here.
It's a good food. It tastes really good.
And this man is number one. Number one.
I almost eat like the whole year because I put in a freezer. Over here they have freezer, you can cut it and put inside. Yeah, uhi is a food you can eat no meat. It tastes better, no matter what. You can eat it straight like that, it's good, tastes good, more than any food. I just like the taste, I like the taste, why I keep growing. My kids like it, all my kids, they like it. I think it's a good food.
Unlike the shoot at Angelina's house, where we went there specifically and photographed just the cooking of ulu, Leslie invited us to a party on his farm, and he made an emu. And when you make an emu, you want to fill it. You don't want to just put a couple of things in it. And so there were other things that were cooked aside from just the uhi. And the three major styles of uhi that they cooked was uhi cooked in coconut milk, which was cooked outside of the emu, uhi kalua, which was cooked inside of the emu, and uhi pulehu, which was cooked over open coals.
Because Uncle Ricky was gifted several uhi by Leslie, he was able to take them home and show us a few simple and delicious ways of prepping uhi.
Today we're going to talk about uhi. It's a plant that in Hawaii Nei is almost forgotten, and probably the single plant that made me want to do this series is uhi, because it's being forgotten. And the examples I have here are tiny compared to how big these get. These plants will get in excess of 100 pounds, and they'll get 6 feet tall. I mean, they're huge. These are from Leslie. And these are like babies, you know, little tiny ones that he would use to plant. He would never even eat this stuff, it's too small. But this is all I got left right now to make, so this is what we're gonna make. And I'm gonna wash these right now. And then when you do these, when you're gonna eat these, and what you will do is you'll cut off just a little piece up here, just like this. Look how beautiful that is, snow white. And this is the planting piece, right here. And what Leslie does is he puts the planting piece in cement, regular cement that you buy in a bag. I actually use ashes from, I make a lot of fires, I use just ashes. But you want to seal off this, and we'll do this when we go upstairs. But these are all the planting pieces. And that's it, simple enough.
Like our Ulu episode, the specific goal was to cook 3 similar but unique dishes using coconut milk, pa'akai, chili pepper, lime, and of course, uhi.
The reason that we're cooking today in my kitchen is because on the day that we did the shoot at Leslie's property in Pauilo, it was a party, and we didn't want to disrupt the party. So we were just happy participants and got to eat this wonderful food. And then today in my house, we're gonna make these dishes so that we can get a recipe that you can follow at home. So this is the uhi that I just cleaned outside. Just understand that this is not indicative of the size of the crop that you'll be getting, but everything else about it's the same. I use actually a potato peeler because it just peels it real easy. Okay, so that's what it looks like when it's clean. It's white and it's starchy. And if you take your knife and you just go like that, it'll just break. And if there's bad spots in the uhi, you can just cut around it. And when you get to it, so there's a bad spot there, so you just cut it. Basically, you just cut it out. And then you can use the rest of the uhi. Now I'm gonna cut this uhi, which is gonna be harder to peel because it's not smooth, but it's no big deal. This is a totally different variety. But again, white inside. I thought this was ube, it was gonna be purple inside, but it's not. And I'm gonna cook these in 2 different pots so you can taste the difference between what I would call the cultivated variety and the wild variety. We're making the exact same dish, but we're gonna make it with 2 different things. Or we can make some just plain boiled, so we could just try it plain without the coconut milk. But what I'm basically making is uhi cooked in coconut milk, which is my absolute favorite way of eating uhi.
After peeling, cleaning, and cutting the 2 varieties of uhi, Uncle Ricky worked on creating one of his favorite ingredients, the homemade coconut milk.
As I mentioned in the Ulu episode, one of my favorite ingredients to use is coconut milk. But if you don't have the tools or the time, you can always just go to KTA and buy yourself a can of organic coconut milk and use that. It won't be exactly as good as homemade coconut milk, but it'll work just fine.
So this is the coconut that we husked outside, the mature brown coconut. I'm gonna add to this basically water, plain old water, but I like to heat it up because it draws the milk out of the coconut better if the water is heated. You see how much water's in there? I don't know, shot glass of water, not a whole lot. Okay, so all I'm doing is basically just using my hands and squeezing this little bit of water. And if you can bring a camera in here, you can see how little water, you can barely even see the water at this point because it's so thick, okay? And then I'm gonna take this and I'm going to squeeze it. And you can see there's not a whole lot of water that comes out, not a whole lot of coconut milk that comes out. The whole thing is just to somehow extract the oil out of the coconut into this substance, this coconut milk. And any way you do it that works is fine. The women from Tonga who made the coconut milk for the lupalo used the husk of the mature coconut
the husk that we pulled off to strain the coconut through so you wouldn't get any of the coconut shreds into the coconut milk. And that's kind of what this does. This is a modern day equivalent of that. You just want to keep extracting as much as you can. Take this. You basically want to cover it slightly. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit more coconut milk just to make it a little bit richer, and then we're going to be done. And I'm going to turn these things on to medium-high heat to get them to come to boil. And then once they boil, I'm going to reduce their heat to, I'll keep reducing their heat until I get it to like a nice small simmer.
While our crew waited for the uhi to boil on the stovetop, Uncle Ricky demonstrated once again how to prepare his famous dipping sauce that's not only delicious, but is also easy to make at home.
Okay, we're going to make Uncle Ricky's famous dipping sauce here. And this time, instead of using water, we're going to use the coconut cream, the very first squeeze that we made with the coconut milk. And we're going to take this, which is a calamansi lime, and we're going to cut it. And I'm going to squeeze that in there. And the funny thing about calamansi lime is one of the best parts of calamansi lime is the skin. And so what I do is after I squeeze it, I pull the pulp out and get it down to just the skin itself. And then I just take this and I either smash it with a spoon or cut it with a knife into small little pieces and put it in the sauce. Okay, then I'm going to take one chili pepper and I'm going to find a medium-sized one, like that. Break it off. Take the seeds out of it because the seeds are where the heat is. This one doesn't have very many seeds anyway. And then I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to smash the chili pepper into the coconut milk. And if you look at this, you can see the coconut milk is starting to turn a little bit pink. And there's always the one bite of the chili pepper that somebody gets. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. Pa'akai, a little bit of salt. And that's it. Good. So the goal, if this was breadfruit, I'd want to get rid of all the water and get it down just to oil. But I'm going to make this to be like a mashed potato dish. So I don't want it to lose it all, but I want to get some of the water out. So I put the pot lid slightly ajar to let the steam come out. And here's the same thing going down over here. And then this one is just steaming. Okay, it has now been approximately 40 minutes that this stuff's been cooking. And because it's two different, and that's why I wanted to do this, because it's different varieties. So this variety, which is what I will call wild uhi. If you look at this, this is still retaining its shape. Even if I move it around with a spoon, it still stays pretty much angular and cubed. So this is taking a little longer to cook. This, which was the more cultivated uhi, is thoroughly cooked. And it's like this tropical mashed potato thing I was telling you about. And this is what this looks like. And it's more broken down. And if I touch it, it just falls apart. So look at this. Tell me this doesn't look like mashed potatoes. So I'm just going to let this stay on here at a super low heat. And I'm going to let the other two cook for another 5 or 10 minutes. And then we're going to take it all off and eat it. Roughly 50 minutes this has been cooking, 45 minutes. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of each of these foods out, put it onto a plate, take it over to the table as a showplace, and then we're going to help ourselves to a little bit of this food to eat so everybody can see what it tastes like. So in closing, I want to thank Leslie for welcoming us into his world inviting us to a Tongan party, teaching us a bit about planting and harvesting uhi, and introducing us to some of the Sakona Ohana. I'm very grateful for their aloha and mana'o, and I want to give a shout out to Tony, Leslie's cousin, who opened up his heart to talk about the importance of us growing more of our own food here in Hawaii Nei, and how proud it makes him to be able to grow much of what he eats.
When I grow up, is grow your own food, yeah? Especially this ones. You grow your own stuff. Like I said, you don't see this anymore in Hawaii, yeah? It's gone. It's like run away from the people that grow stuff, yeah? Because it's hard work. It's really hard work for people that grow nowadays. They rather just take rice. I mean, it only take like 20 to grow your own little food.
Not much.
And then put it in the fridge for a whole 6 months.
And here's piles of it here, and piles of it there, and piles of it over there. And this is a plant that grows very easily. It wants to grow.
Oh my God. It's like,
Makes you feel good.
it just, when you eat stuff like that, it just makes you very clean inside.
And you feel proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not about like, it's about food. Yeah?
I have worked alongside of both he and Leslie, and I am indebted to them for their incredible generosity to me, and I am so grateful for their sharing of their ike and their uhi. Leslie, in many ways, is the patron saint of uhi here in Mokuokiawi. As he gets older, I can only hope that Tony, another relative, or those inspired by these films, will take his place in the future and continue to grow uhi as I do.
Somebody can grow it, and this is a good food to eat. If you get uhi, try it. Just try it. I hope people to grow it more and eat it.
I hope you enjoyed this episode and learned a little bit about this wonderful, nutritious, and delicious plant, uhi, so that when you have the opportunity, you can avail yourself of it in the future. And remember, sustainability starts small. So what are you waiting for?